Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving deep into IBM. You know, really trying to understand their business model, how they're making money these days,
Yeah,
the challenges they're facing, and, what the future might hold for them. We got earnings calls, we've got reports, all sorts of stuff.
you do, yeah.
And it looks like they're really in this fascinating kind of transformation.
I think, when a lot of people think about IBM, they think about hardware, right?
Yeah.
But they're really changing. It's interesting to see how they're adapting, particularly in areas like AI
Mm-hmm.
and hybrid cloud. These are really the key areas in tech right now.
Yeah, it's not just about the hardware anymore. And you're right, the software side of their business, I mean, that's now almost 45% of their
Right.
revenue. That's nearly double what it was like 5 years ago.
That's right. And a big part of that shift is due to their acquisition of Red Hat 5 years ago. I mean, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Red Hat's revenue has doubled since then, and their OpenShift platform, it's been a real success story. It shows you just how much IBM is banking on hybrid cloud.
Yeah, and OpenShift, that's not just like any platform. I mean, that's become a major player in the world of container orchestration, which is a big deal for businesses that want to be able to develop and deploy applications quickly.
Right, across lots of different environments.
Yeah, exactly, efficiently. And you can see that in their numbers too. They've grown from about like $100 million in annual recurring revenue to over $1.3 billion.
That's huge.
It's massive. And then there's the AI side of things. I mean, their AI business, get this, is already worth over $3 billion.
It is.
And they're developing tools for, I mean, all sorts of things, for helping businesses become more efficient, to even summarizing U.S. Open tennis matches.
That's right, for fans.
Yeah. I mean, there's a really diverse portfolio.
It is.
But, it's not all sunshine and roses. They are facing some challenges, especially, I think, when you look at their consulting business. I mean, the global economy right now, it's a little bit shaky.
Yeah, it is.
And that's making businesses kind of hesitant to spend.
They are, yeah. A lot of businesses are putting off those big consulting projects.
Right, exactly. And that's had an impact.
It has.
But they seem confident that things will bounce back, as AI adoption takes off.
That makes sense. They believe that once companies start to really understand the power of AI, they'll need help implementing it.
Right, because it's complex.
It is.
It's not just like you buy a piece of software and you're good to go.
No.
You need guidance. But, okay, this is something that surprised me. Mainframes,
Yeah,
they're still a thing.
they are.
The Z16, which is their latest mainframe, that's been selling really well.
Yeah, it has.
I have to admit, I was a little surprised by that. Why are mainframes still relevant? I mean, we live in a world of cloud computing, right?
We do, but certain businesses, especially those dealing with really massive amounts of data or, really sensitive data, they still rely on these super powerful and secure machines. They need that kind of reliability and security that mainframes offer.
So it's almost like IBM is juggling these different revenue streams, right? They've got the staying power of those, older technologies, like the mainframes, but they're also pushing forward in areas like, the hybrid cloud and AI.
Right. It's a balancing act a lot of tech companies are facing. They need to keep one foot in the present, keep those existing businesses going, while also preparing for the future.
And what does their future look like? They seem to be predicting like a big upswing starting in 2025.
That's right. They call it an inflection point.
Okay.
And they're banking on continued software growth, a new mainframe cycle, and obviously that continued expansion in AI.
Let's talk about the software strategy a bit more. I mean, that seems to be kind of a multi-pronged approach, right? Red Hat is clearly a big part of that.
Oh, absolutely. They expect Red Hat to keep driving significant growth, maybe around 3 percentage points of their overall software growth. But it's not all about acquisitions. They're also focused on organic innovation. I mean, remember they said 7% of their software growth this past quarter was organic?
Yeah. So that's the growth coming from within the company.
Exactly.
Not from buying other companies.
Not from acquisitions.
That's a good sign, right?
It is.
That they're not just buying growth, they're actually creating it.
That's right.
And they're seeing good results in areas like, automation software and these generative AI products.
Exactly. It shows they're paying attention to where the market is headed.
Right. And of course, as businesses adopt these new mainframes, I mean, that's going to boost their mainframe software sales too, right?
That's the idea, yeah.
So it's a mix of leveraging their strengths, investing in new stuff, and really kind of, riding that wave of their hardware strategy.
Yeah.
And they did hint at more acquisitions, right?
They did. They just announced the HashiCorp acquisition, and they've made it pretty clear that there are more in the pipeline. They've got the cash flow to be choosy, which is a good position to be in.
Yeah, they did give some insights into their M&A philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Though it seems like they're really focused on deals that align with, their existing strategic focus areas like hybrid cloud, automation, data, and AI.
Strategic, yeah. They're not just randomly buying companies in these areas. They're
Right.
looking for companies that fit well with what they already do, that can add value to their existing offerings.
Synergy.
Synergy. So it's not just about adding new products or services. It's about like enhancing, amplifying
Right.
their existing capabilities.
Exactly.
And that makes sense. Now, let's shift gears and talk about their consulting business. We mentioned earlier that they're facing some headwinds there because of the global economy,
Yeah.
but what are they doing to, kind of adapt and turn things around? Well, it sounds like they're going all in on generative AI consulting. They see it as a major growth driver in the long term. And honestly, the early results are pretty impressive.
Oh, really? What have they seen so far?
Their AI consulting bookings are growing like crazy.
Wow.
They're already at like $2.5 billion, which is, get this, double the rate they saw with their Red Hat consulting practice when that was just starting out.
So they're really banking on this being, kind of the future of their consulting business.
I think so, yeah.
As AI matures, they're hoping that that early lead they have will translate into,
Right.
sustained growth.
Hmm.
But they are aware that this type of work, it's a little bit different
Yeah.
than their traditional consulting gigs.
Right. It's not the same.
So how are they addressing that?
Well, they've said that these AI projects, they tend to take a bit longer,
Okay.
and they might not generate as much revenue up front.
So it's a tricky balance, right? They've got to manage those resources really carefully and balance that like short-term revenue with the potential for, long-term growth.
Exactly. It's a tough situation, but it sounds like they're approaching it strategically.
Okay, so we've talked about AI, we've talked about consulting. What about infrastructure? I mean, they didn't say a whole lot about it, but they did mention the upcoming mainframe cycle.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's early, but they seem pretty confident that the next generation of mainframes will give them a boost, especially with that new Telum 2 processor and, the Spire AI accelerator.
Yeah, I mean, that new hardware, that's definitely going to be a selling point. But there's another piece of that infrastructure puzzle that I think often gets overlooked.
What's that?
It's the recurring revenue from their hardware maintenance business.
You're right.
People often focus on those initial sales,
Mm-hmm.
but those ongoing maintenance contracts,
Right.
that's a significant source of income for them.
Yeah. Steady income, especially important when the economy is a bit uncertain.
Right. And they're expecting that maintenance revenue to actually become even more of a tailwind in 2025.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated picture, right? Software seems to be driving their growth.
Mm-hmm.
Consulting, they're hoping for a comeback.
Yeah.
AI powered, obviously.
Right.
And infrastructure, that's providing like this steady stream of revenue,
Yeah.
especially with those new mainframes, those maintenance contracts.
Right.
It seems like they're building this like really robust
Yeah.
and kind of resilient business model.
Yeah, they're trying to create a balanced portfolio, something that combines stability with, the potential for some serious growth. That's
Yeah.
what you have to do in this environment.
But even with, the best strategy,
Yeah.
I mean, there are always risks.
Always.
So what are some of the things that could, throw them off course? What are the uncertainties?
Well, for starters, the global economy is always a wild card. We've already talked about how that can impact their consulting business, and there's no way to know for sure if things will get better anytime soon.
Yeah, you can't control that.
You can't, no. And then there's competition. I mean, let's be real. They're operating in an incredibly competitive industry. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, these guys are all investing heavily in the same areas that IBM is targeting.
Right. So they need to prove that they're different, that they're better, right?
That's exactly right. They need to convince customers that IBM is the best choice. And then, of course, there's execution risk. Having a great plan is one thing, but actually making it happen is another. They need to develop and launch those new products, integrate the acquisitions, manage their workforce.
It's a lot.
It is. And they need to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to technology. What's hot today could be obsolete tomorrow. They can't afford to fall behind.
So it's high risk, high reward. It's what makes their story so interesting to follow.
It definitely is. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens next. So we've covered a lot of ground talking about IBM's strategy, but let's zoom in on AI and hybrid cloud. AI first. They're not just jumping on the AI bandwagon. It
Hmm.
seems like they're being very deliberate, very practical about it.
Yeah, they're not just chasing the hype. It's not about building the biggest, flashiest AI model. It's about creating solutions that businesses can actually use, right? Something that's actually going to make a difference for their bottom line.
Exactly. They're talking about cost effectiveness, which is huge for businesses. AI can be incredibly expensive to develop and deploy, especially these massive language models that everyone's talking about.
Yet not every company has the resources of a Google or the Microsoft. So how are they addressing that cost concern?
With their Granite family of AI models, they've specifically designed these models to be smaller and more focused than those massive general purpose models. These are optimized for specific business tasks, making them much more efficient and way less expensive to run.
So it's about tailoring the AI to the job, rather than trying to create a one-size-fits-all solution that ends up being too expensive or not even the right fit.
Precisely. And they're also emphasizing speed. They've said these models can be trained in weeks, not months, and fine-tuned for very specific tasks. That means businesses can see results faster, get that return on investment more quickly.
That's smart. Faster time to value, that's what businesses want. And it's not just about their own platforms, right? They're making these models available on other platforms as well.
Yeah, that's another key part of their strategy. They're not trying to lock customers into a single ecosystem. These Granite models can run on IBM's own platforms like Watson X and Red Hat, but also on AWS, Salesforce, SAP. They're giving businesses options.
So they're playing nice with others. It's a smart approach in the cloud world. But even with these, more efficient focused AI models, integration is still complex. Businesses need help figuring out how to actually use this stuff, right?
Right. Absolutely. That's where their consulting expertise comes in. They're really positioning themselves as trusted advisors, helping companies figure out how to actually implement AI and make it work for their business.
So they're not just selling AI tools, they're selling the expertise and the guidance to actually use those tools effectively. That makes a lot of sense because AI is still a mystery to a lot of businesses.
It is, it is. And they're betting big on this consulting piece. Their AI consulting bookings are already around $2.5 billion. That's double the rate they saw with their Red Hat consulting practice in its early stages.
Wow, so they're seeing real demand for this type of guidance. But AI is only part of the story. Their hybrid cloud strategy seems equally important. Why are they so focused on hybrid cloud?
Because they understand that the world is moving towards a mix of cloud solutions. It's not just public cloud or private cloud anymore. It's about finding the right balance for each business, having the flexibility to choose the best environment for each application or workload.
So it's about choice and flexibility, finding the right mix. And Red Hat is playing a key role in this strategy, right, with OpenShift.
Absolutely. OpenShift has become the foundation of their hybrid cloud offerings. It's a platform for managing and deploying applications that are packaged in containers, which is really important for hybrid cloud because it makes it easier to move those applications between different environments.
So containers bring that portability and consistency that hybrid cloud needs. And their numbers show just how much OpenShift has grown. I mean, they went from like $100 million in annual recurring revenue to over $1.3 billion.
Yeah.
It's a massive jump.
It is. It shows how important containerization has become in the world of hybrid cloud. And IBM isn't just relying on OpenShift alone, they're building a whole suite of hybrid cloud solutions around it. Things like automation tools, security features, data management platforms, they're really going all in on this.
So they're building this comprehensive ecosystem, this like complete set of tools and services to help businesses not only adopt hybrid cloud, but actually manage and use it effectively. But they're not doing this in isolation, are they? They're also partnering with other cloud providers.
You got it. They're working with big players like AWS and Azure, recognizing that no single company can do it all in the cloud world. Collaboration is key.
So they're kind of positioning themselves as the bridge between these different cloud environments, helping businesses navigate all of that complexity and make the most of their hybrid cloud investments. It's a pretty smart strategy.
It is. They're not just selling technology, they're selling expertise and solutions. They want to be the trusted advisor that helps companies thrive in this new world of hybrid computing.
All right, so we've talked about AI, we've talked about hybrid cloud, but I have to bring up mainframes again. It's fascinating to see how IBM continues to invest in this technology that some might consider, kind of old school.
Yeah.
Why are mainframes still relevant, and what are they doing to make sure these systems remain viable in the future?
Well, mainframes are still the backbone for a lot of mission-critical systems, especially in industries like finance, government, healthcare. These are the organizations that need absolute security, rock-solid reliability, and incredible performance. And mainframes deliver that in a way that other systems, even cloud systems, sometimes struggle to match.
So mainframes aren't going away anytime soon, but IBM is also innovating within this space, right? They've talked about their new Telum-Toby processor and that dedicated AI accelerator called Spire. What's the deal with those?
The Telum 2 is their next-generation processor for mainframes, designed for even greater performance and efficiency, especially for data-intensive workloads. And the Spire AI accelerator, that's specifically designed to boost AI capabilities on mainframes.
So they're essentially bringing AI to the mainframe. That's a pretty bold move.
It is. It allows businesses to run AI workloads right alongside their most sensitive and demanding applications, all on the same system without compromising security or performance. It's about bringing the AI to the data rather than trying to move massive amounts of data to the AI.
It's a smart approach, especially for those industries that are heavily regulated and have strict security requirements. It seems like IBM is really committed to serving its clients wherever their data resides, whether it's in the cloud, on premises, or on a mainframe. They're providing solutions that meet those specific needs.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that one size doesn't fit all in the world of technology. Businesses need options, and IBM is trying to provide them with a range of solutions that can adapt to their specific requirements and challenges.
It's clear they're trying to position themselves as more than just a technology vendor. They want to be a strategic partner, helping businesses navigate the complexities of digital transformation and make the most of these new technologies. But as we've discussed, it's a challenging path.
It is. The technology landscape is constantly changing, the competition is fierce, and execution is everything. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate these challenges and what the future holds for them.
All right, so we've spent this whole episode digging into IBM's strategy. From their AI push and hybrid cloud to even mainframes, which are still surprisingly relevant.
It is surprising to some people.
But now I want to kind of zoom out.
Okay.
Look at the big picture. How does all of this fit together into their overall business model? What's the story here?
Well, it's a balancing act, right? On the one hand, they have these legacy businesses like mainframes, which are still generating a ton of revenue for them.
Right.
But they also know that they need to be investing heavily in the future, which is AI, hybrid cloud, all these newer technologies. So it's this really delicate balance of trying to manage the present and the future at the same time.
Yeah, it's almost like they're building this bridge, right? They can't just abandon those existing customers and those revenue streams.
Yeah.
But they also know that if they don't embrace these new technologies, they're going to get left behind.
They will.
And it's not like they're operating in a vacuum. I mean, the
Yeah.
competition is intense.
It is.
You've got Microsoft, you've got Amazon, you've got Google, all investing heavily in the same areas. So how does IBM differentiate itself? What's their unique selling point?
I think a big part of it is their focus on enterprise. They're not chasing consumer trends. They're really honed in on the needs of businesses.
Right.
And they're trying to provide solutions that address those specific challenges that businesses face.
And we saw that, right, with their approach to AI, those cost-effective models that are tailored for business tasks,
Right.
and that hybrid cloud strategy that really emphasizes choice and flexibility.
They're not trying to force businesses into a one-size-fits-all solution. They recognize that businesses have different needs, different systems, different requirements, and they're trying to create a platform that can accommodate all of that.
Yeah, and then you add to that their consulting expertise, which, let's be honest, they've been doing this for a long time.
They have, yeah. They've got decades of experience working with businesses.
And that's incredibly valuable in a world where AI and hybrid cloud can be pretty daunting to a lot of companies.
Oh, absolutely. It can be very confusing, very complex.
And IBM is stepping in and saying, hey, we can guide you through this. We can help you figure this out.
Right.
It's not just about the technology.
Right.
It's about the expertise.
It's about the solutions.
Yeah, the guidance. But of course, no matter how good your strategy is, there are always risks.
Always.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that could, throw them off course?
Well, you always have to worry about the global economy. We've seen how a downturn can impact their consulting business. And there's no guarantee that the economy is going to cooperate.
Right. You can't control that.
You can't. And then, of course, there's that fierce competition we talked about. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, these guys are not standing still. They're innovating constantly.
So IBM has to really prove that they have something unique to offer.
They do.
That they're the better choice.
Right.
And then there's always execution risk.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can have the best strategy in the world, But if you can't execute it,
if you can't deliver.
it doesn't matter. It's about integrating those acquisitions, developing new products, managing a global workforce. There's a lot that could go wrong.
There is a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts. So with all that in mind,
Yeah.
what's your take? Do they have what it takes to succeed? Can IBM really thrive in this rapidly changing tech landscape?
I think they're doing a lot of things right. They're focusing on the right areas. AI, hybrid cloud. They're even showing that they understand the continued importance of mainframes for certain industries. But the challenges are huge. The competition is intense. The economy is uncertain.
And they have to execute flawlessly.
They do. So it's really a wait-and-see situation. It's a high-stakes game.
It is.
And it's going to be fascinating to watch how it plays out.
It will be. So what do you think, listener? Where do you see IBM fitting into all of this? Are they on the right track? Are there things you think they should be doing differently? Head over to our website or social media and let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And that's going to wrap it up for our deep dive into IBM. Until next time, keep diving.